And a good Tuesday Eagles morning. Birds fans, appreciate you streaming in here on Birds 365 with Mac, John McMullen, and Jody McDonald. Johnny Mac, it has arrived. The day the Eagles go back to work. Granted, they're not working out today or getting any activities in, but they're reporting to the NovaCare Complex to gather for the 2023 season. First thing first, meetings today? Will they do anything? Grab a meal together? Your best guess scenario, what is planned for when players start to show up?
And obviously you have to go through that onboarding process, as they like to call it. They'll get checked out a little bit medically, nothing serious, but yeah, and they'll probably have a meeting where the head coach talks about everything and lays everything out. And then you get to work with these basically 11, 12-hour days, depending if you're a veteran or you get a little bit of a break. You get one less hour, or if you're a younger player, at least by the CBA. Obviously, the Eagles don't always use that, but long days, and 9 practices altogether, 9 training camp practices plus 2 with the Cleveland Browns, 1 with the Indianapolis Colts. So 12 practices, which is, the lightest I can remember. So it's hard to criticize them coming off of last year. And we'll see how it works out with a lot more change. I think that's the difference. So, you have change on the coaching staff. You didn't have change on the coaching staff last year. Plus, you have to replace 7 starters. And, there's a lot of walkthroughs in there, a lot of meetings. That's probably the more important part of it, and sort of the new age of football. And we'll see how it all starts today. We'll see how it works out.
And Nick Sirianni is a very big guy when it comes to connection. And with all the time the Eagles will be spending together, you said the maximum number of hours as per allowed in the CBA. Eagles probably don't even get there, but they'll be spending a lot of time. Everyone around the National Football League will, so the Eagles are going to be different than anybody else there, but they do rely on connection a lot. And I think they can well do that in classrooms and meeting rooms and the like. Whether they can actually get up to speed and be ready to go week 1 with the amount of time that they're going to spend on the field. Well, they did it last year, so you're right. They get the benefit of the doubt coming.
Hey, they're 2-0, Jody, in week 1 under Nick Sirianni. So, I mean, 1 was really impressive. 1 they kind of hung on with it for dear life, but bottom line is they won both season openers, and they're both on the road. At Atlanta, at Detroit. This year it'll be at Foxborough. So, yeah, I mean, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's fair to say that. I think it's fair to say they've earned the benefit of the doubt, but that's just a benefit. You got to see how it shakes out.
Speaking of the opener at Foxborough, Tom Brady Appreciation Day up in New England, one of the hardest tickets on the planet to get your hands on as of right now. And this is one thing I've been saying forever. Eagle Nation is as good a traveling fan base as you're going to find. They go out, they support the team on the road, they get their hands on tickets. It's going to be a little expensive to start the road year with the Eagles up in Boston this year because, yeah, the Patriot fans all want their tickets to go to give their buddy Tommy Boy a send-off into retirement if he stays there. You don't really think Brady's coming back. He's retired, right?
Yeah, I think he's retired. I mean, he bought into the Raiders. I guess there's a possibility he could play for Las Vegas down the road, but that would be it, unless he wants to divest from that. And I don't know the hurdles that would take to overcome, but I do think he's retired finally.
And he's definitely not playing week 1 because that's all the Eagles could care about right now. If he's going to come back to Raiders, they don't play the Raiders this season, so you don't have to sweat Brady at all. Other than it's going to be really hard to get tickets for that opening game between the Patriots and the Eagles. Which, oh, by the way, don't know if you saw this today. They announced the A-team broadcast for that game for CBS. Tony Romo, Jim Nantz, the top team of CBS, will be doing that opener. Eagles versus the Patriots. I went through the games, and you know something, John? When I first saw it, I go, really? They're giving Eagles? Maybe because they're NFC and they don't get a chance to do as many games at CBS as they used to. Well, actually, they could do more. The whole CBS, Fox, NFC, AFC thing has been lightened up over the years. I don't know how many times the Eagles are on CBS during the year, but they chose game 1 to give them the number 1 team, Romo and Nance. And then I went through the rest of the schedule. Yeah, it's the best game. CBS didn't reach to put the Eagles on just because they're the Eagles. It's probably the best game. Jets and Bills is Monday night. The Chiefs are playing early on Thursday night. Yeah, I at first I looked at it, I said, wow, this surprises me. Then I actually went through it game by game. I go, okay, yes.
Yeah, I went kind of duh. Nothing against the Eagles are obviously a very good team, and they're a very high profile team, and they're, you know, the rightful favorites in the NFC, but it's Tom Brady day. I mean, it's Tom Brady day. It's going to be a big deal if it were, they would never set it up with the Houston Texans are a really bad team, so that's kind of baked into it. But no matter what, it's Tom Brady day. That's the biggest storyline. With all due respect for the Eagles, I mean, arguably the greatest player who ever laced them up. I mean, that was always going to be a big deal, and it happens to be the Eagles. So it's one of the few times where somebody's not riding the Eagles' coattails. Maybe the Cowboys and maybe Tom Brady Day. Tom Brady Day is bigger than the Eagles. I'm getting Eagles fans upset, but that's not even close.
Understood that there's an opponent that may have something to do with the selection of the game. You're hitting the nail right on the head there, John. Do you think the NFL scheduling process is this Goliath that I don't think some people even understand, because there are so many aspects to be taken in, TV partners, availability, everything else. It's a massive project. Do you think the Patriots lobbied to open at home week 1 because they wanted to have Brady Day and they wanted it to be against an opponent that would be good, be a draw, be a good game? Do you think there's any lobbying that goes on during the schedules?
Well, there's always lobbying. Teams always lobby. You always, if you have West Coast trips, they always lobby to maybe have them back to back so you can stay out there, things like that, which the Eagles have done. So teams always lobby for certain situations. That's one that's going to take care of itself. I mean, one, you got to get the guy to agree to come back. There was speculation of some angst. You knew he'd come back eventually. You just mentioned is he going to come back? Is he going to retire? He might have said no because he's got that in the back of his mind that he might come back. But he didn't say no. He said yes. So, and once he says yes, and once you kind of define the date of when you're going to do it, I think the NFL becomes malleable to you in that type of situation because, again, that's a big deal. I don't know. That's a big Tom Brady Day is a big freaking deal. So, I mean, the NFL is going to do everything in there, but typically it's the other way around. You're just worried about, like last year, the Eagles had 3 consecutive road games, wrapped around Christmas. That wasn't good. And you try to lobby away from that. Sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not. But in those rare instances, and he's the most high profile example, but whether it's a great player coming back, it's lesser as you go down the scale. And quarterbacks are obviously the most high profile, and that's the quarterback. So I think it's more the NFL being malleable in that type of circumstance, but that's very rare that you have that type of circumstance.
So we're can't wait any longer. Don't have to. The Eagles show up today and have their first workout tomorrow, so the season is actually going to get underway. The offseason started immediately after Harrison Butker made that feel. I know Eagles got to play. Jalen Hurts had no chance there. As great a season he's had, that would have been the miracle of all miracles if he'd pulled it out with one play left. That's when the offseason started, and it ends today when the Eagles show up for 2023. I would say it's been a fairly drama-free offseason for the Eagles. No, they had to do a lot of replacing of players, but that's just the business of football. You're going to lose free agents. You're going to have to try and replace them through the draft or signing rogue free agents or guys off the scrap heap. I don't consider that drama-laden. That's just football business being done. The other stuff, off the field stuff, I would even say contract negotiations would be part of it, not building the roster, but keeping the roster in place by keeping guys paid and happy and the like. It's been a fairly drama-free offseason, has it not, Johnny Mac?
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the circumstances, whether it's Zach Martin sort of being disgruntled about his contract in Dallas. Saquon Barkley, by the way, that gets his 1-year deal done this morning, which I think surprised a lot of people. The big running back coalition got him $900,000 in incentives. That's about it. So, yeah, the Eagles have done a very good job. I guess you can talk about the Slay stuff. That was a little bit dramatic. That would be, I guess, the biggest drama, saying goodbye. He and his wife said goodbye to Philadelphia. Then they do the 180. And that's, by the way, that's sort of baked in with CJ Gardner-Johnson. You got some drama there. He clearly overvalued himself, and he got carted off yesterday. I'm glad he's okay. It looks like he's going to be okay, but the market speaks. The market always speaks. He overvalued himself. The Eagles wanted him back, weren't able to get it done, and kind of shifted gears late. So I guess that would be the most, but that compared to other teams, that's pretty good when it comes to drama level, I would say.
And with the fact that they were in the Super Bowl, lost on the next last play of the game, that lends itself to drama. When you have as good a season as the Eagles did, you would think that drama could follow during the upcoming offseason. Really didn't. The Eagles had a pretty much drama-free offseason. Credit to Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, the people in charge, the individual players. They got no guys who stepped out. The one guy who liked to run his mouth, CJGJ, went elsewhere, and it happened relatively early in the offseason. They've been pretty much able to avoid any drama. We'll see if any drama starts come Wednesday when they get their first practice underway. But that's what we're here to talk about. Actual action on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's always a balance between on the field and off the field, and we'll try and strike that balance. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, two good guests coming your way today. Two of the better Eagle beat writers in the city. From Inside the Eagles, that's IGGLES. Jeff Knox is going to jump in here in hour number 1, and then hour number 2. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philly will jump in with us too. McMullen and McDonald, Birds 365. Eagles opening day is here.